All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining in on our webinar today, hosted by the Christian Education Ministry at Riverside Missionary Baptist Church. Today, we will be talking about financial literacy. I am your speaker for today, Miss Danielle DeBerry. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just so you all know, this meeting is being recorded at this time. So if you have any questions, please utilize the chat box feature for this event, and we'll go ahead and get started. So first, I want to get started about just posing the question, what is financial literacy? So the dictionary version of this is basically the knowledge and skill set necessary to be an informed consumer and manage finances effectively. So of course, to be an informed consumer means you got to know how. It ain't just about having money. You got to know how to handle the money you have, and make sure that you put it to good use for yourself. So I want you all to go to your chat feature. You'll see a chat box on your screen. I think it's at the top of your screen. Hold on one second, y'all. I have some technical issues. And before we move on, I want you all to think of 5 things that you just can't live without. 5 things that you just gotta have. And type your 5 things in the chat box now. I give y'all a minute to do that. And I'll put mine in the box as well just to get y'all started. Just 5 things. And everybody's list may not be the same. It just depends on what you consider, what you really need or want for yourself right now. So just think right off the top of your head, 5 things. And then we'll discuss. All right. Okay, so what we have so far, what I put 5 things I just gotta have: phone, of course, clothes to wear, food, shoes, and my car because I need transportation to get around. We also have in the box, we had food, games, music, family, friends. Okay. Next we had food, water, clothes, hair products. I ain't knocking hair products because you gotta keep yourself looking right. Okay, we also have my phone, sketchbook, juice, food, Nintendo Switch. And let's see what else we have. PS4, controller, TV, phone, family. Okay, I see where y'all go with this. So the reason why I asked that question is because I want us to start breaking down what we consider needs and wants from the list of things that we listed. So of course a want is something that's nice to have, but needs are something that you just gotta have. You can't live without it. It's a must have. So based on those things listed, and I'm gonna unmute you all so y'all can discuss. Just a second. But based on those things listed in the chat box, what do you consider a need from your list? Okay, so like I said, definitely gotta have food and juice. That's a need. Y'all can unmute yourselves as well if you want to speak and say your answers out loud. Also, what do y'all consider, so based on this list, what's a need? What do we really need? Of course, I can see family and friends. Yeah, that's a need. Of course, that's a given. We, that's how we function. That's what keeps us going. Our family and our friends. Christian wanted to share her list.
I think clothes are also a big need because you can't just be walking around everywhere naked. You need to wear clothes.
Who's gotta wear clothes? So, with saying clothes is a need, does that necessarily mean it has to be branded clothes?
No, it doesn't always have to be branded clothes because I like getting my dresses and stuff from Ross and they're not branded.
So basically, just to get this talk about money and financial literacy going, even our needs and our wants, it doesn't necessarily mean a need has to be like with clothes, for example. It doesn't mean it has to be the branded name brand clothes. It's just basically basic apparel that is affordable for us. Now we got the money to wear the branded stuff. Hey, I ain't knocking it. But we have to be realistic about what we have when it comes to our needs. And then even the things we want. Not saying we can't have any of our wants, but I would consider in like a Nintendo or the PS4 as a want. I mean, we may need it to just for in that particular area of your life now.
Quarantine.
You may think it's a need because it's what's keeping you motivated, what's keeping you going, but it's just a really nice thing to have. Okay. Do I have any questions at this time? All right, we're gonna move on. So next, I want to show you all a video. The rapper 21 Savage actually started his own financial program for high schoolers a few years ago, and basically what I'm gonna let y'all listen to the video first, and then I kind of elaborate more on it. But I just wanted you to hear his money lessons from 21 Savage. So let's take a listen at this video. One second. 'Now just bear with me. I'm having some technical issues.
Just be smart with your money, because money make life a little easier, and it can make your bloodline, your kids life easier. Just focus on your goal. Don't really focus on the limelight or the flashiness. Like, invest in yourself, bet on yourself. Yeah, I done bought a lot of stuff that I really didn't need to buy. I could afford it back then, but I would have had more money if I didn't do it back then. I never went broke or nothing, but just like when it's the end of the year and you calculating up everything, you like, I spent all that for what? You know, stuff like that. You know, a lot of stuff I didn't know about, like credit cards, not using cash, not cash, that kind of stuff. Like if I knew this stuff when I was younger, I could have spared myself from making some of the decisions I made like early on. Yeah.
Let's talk about it. What kicked off this for 21 Savage was basically when he first got started early on in his career. Before his career started, he didn't have much. So his backstory is he struggled as a youth. So a lot of things that he probably should have heard about money, you didn't hear. You just pretty much trying to survive, trying to make it. So when he became big in his career, he realized that he really needed to learn how to just not splurge his money. But he learned from experience. First he was going through it, and then he realized, oh, what did I spend all that money on? Okay, my money already gone, or oh, I need to really sit down and focus on how to make my money work for me more. So in 2018, he started a program called Bank Account. It's a financial literacy campaign that he kicked off in Atlanta that basically was to help high school students or up and coming young youth and young adults learn how to handle their money better. And even now, that program has grown to where he's partnered with Chime and an organization called Human Ventures, where they even have a more virtual platform for it, to where you just kind of gets you thinking about money. So I try to share those links with you all later so y'all can look at it in later time. But one thing, whether you got a whole lot of money or just a little money, you got to know how to handle your money. So that's something we're going to talk about. So, of course, there are rules to having money. One of the rules that's important when you start, whether you have an allowance or even where you start in a part-time job or just a job that you may be working while you're in college, you must pay yourself first. It is so important that you start putting money to the side, that you're not just every time you get a check or every time you get an allowance or every time some money come in your hands, you just wasting it or blowing it on something that you just want. Not necessarily something you need, but just something that I just want this PS4 game. And I'm going to just go out here and buy these new Jordans or whatever tennis shoes, spend $200-300 on, and I'm just gonna be good. No, pay yourself first. Start learning how to save money and hold on to money. And it's not saying you can't have your wants, but then if you just kind of think about it for a minute, you be like, I mean, I ain't really gotta have it right now. So another important rule of money is learn how to invest. There are various platforms on investing money, and y'all may not necessarily be at the age to invest as a child, but there are some that your parents can kind of partner with you. I know I've utilized Robinhood as a way to learn about investing. That's something I'm still learning, even at my age, on how to invest. But it's basically you're learning how to just get to a point where you're not just spending your money, but you're learning how to make your money grow for you. So that's what investing is. The next point on this slide is give every dollar a job, which means when you have money, when you start making money, every dollar should have a purpose. So once you start setting aside a purpose, like maybe I do have this fund for when I want to get some clothes, or maybe I do have this fund where I save towards this game I want, or if I want to go out to eat, but not on the regular, but maybe I want to splurge and just have this fun where I can go splurge and take myself out to dinner or pick up some fast food or something. You giving each dollar a purpose, a job, so that you know where your money is going. Next point says don't use credit if you don't have cash. I know that sounds strange, but a lot of times, especially when you start learning more about credit cards and having using credit or buying stuff on time or taking out a loan, if you don't have the cash, maybe not now, but at least in the near future to pay it back, don't put yourself in that predicament. Don't get so stuck in, I'm just gonna swipe this credit card because hey, they gave it to me, they gonna let me use it. Then I'm gonna just go get whatever I want. But then eventually you gotta think about how you're gonna pay that back. Next point says spend less than you earn. A lot of times, and I think a lot of stars can attest to that, the fact that they're blowing through money because people are making it easy for them to get to it. They're putting things at their event. Oh, I go ahead, just go ahead and get it now. You can pay it back later. She has the money though. We got the money, but a lot of times, especially they'll tell you that. A lot of times, I think the story when I was coming up was one of the groups TLC talked about how even though they was working hard, they was earning all this money, and they was doing all these things, spend, they realized they really didn't have anything because of the different things they had to pay out just to get their record out. So sometimes we out here spending money, we realize we may be overspending and not necessarily considering weighing out how much we actually have compared to what we're actually just spending. That's why I don't get caught in the credit card trap. But that's an easy way to overextend yourself or overspend when you really don't have that cash. You really don't have that money. Next rule of money talks about having a plan and setting goals. Even at a young age, you can start setting goals when it comes to money. For example, one of my daughters is she started taking financial literacy class through in her high school, and what it peaked for her was trying to set a goal for herself to start her own business because they had to do it as part of the class assignment. But then it started saying, if I'm doing it as a assignment, I could possibly do this for myself even now. Based on this money she had saved and put up, she's starting to look at ways to build a business even at her age. Of course, at her age, she needs her parents' support, but it's getting her to start thinking about planning out what you need to start that business, how much money it will cost, what goals you expect to achieve, and what you want to achieve by doing this task. So it's not too early to start thinking about how you want money to work for you. But that's what's important. You want your money to work for you. You don't want to just work for money. Trust me. Mm-hmm. Do we have any questions at this time before I move forward? All right. Next on the list is keeping your finances organized. With having money, you got to be organized. Whether it's a piggy bank, whether it's a bank account, whether it's a savings account, you got to have a way to keep your money in order. Even with having a bank account, you got to have a way that you're keeping track of what's in that account, checking on it regularly, making sure that you know where every penny is going. Not I mean literally every penny. You just should know. Then another rule of money is having that emergency fund. Especially as you grow up, get older, start getting out here on your own, you're going to learn that it's going to be important to have that fund set aside just in case something happens. All right. So next we're going to talk about budgeting. One thing that comes with having money, you got to know how to budget your money and make your money work for you. So it's a process to budgeting. Of course, with budgeting, it comes in phases. So the first phase means you want to assess your personal and financial situation. So basically, you taking the time to think about your needs, what you value, what your current life situation is. Of course, I know we're talking to high schoolers, but in some cases, some of y'all are heading to college. Some of y'all starting to think about college. Some of y'all may already be in college. So of course, you got to start assessing your personal and financial situation. What are your current needs? If you're in college, a college student, there are basic needs that you're gonna need. Your items, just maybe your books or a computer or a laptop or stuff that helps you get your classwork and your schoolwork done. You may be away from home, so it may be just certain basic needs, basic food, snacks, whatever. toiletry items, whatever you may need just to function on your own. You got to start thinking about those things. So you got to start planning and assessing what are those needs, what are my values. Yeah, because just on your own don't mean you want to start going without some of the things you want, but you got to figure out, how am I going to get those things I want? If I really want these name brand clothes, how am I going to make it happen for myself? If I really want the newest phone that comes out, how am I going to be able to pay for it? How am I going to be able to afford that? If I want transportation, what kind of transportation can I afford? How can I start? What plan can I put in place to get my transportation? Those are things you got to think about in that first phase of budgeting. Phase two, you got to start setting those goals, start putting those goals in action. So you got to start mapping out that plan to make that budget work for you. In phase three, you want to create a budget for your fixed and variable expenses. Fixed expenses, stuff that's just gonna be your phone bill's never gonna if you have a phone bill, that phone bill's gonna be set same amount every month unless you just invest in different phones every time you turn around. Your food costs, your expenses for your car, if you have a car, your maintenance, that's gonna be those costs that you know you're gonna have to handle. Your insurance costs, that's stuff you gotta handle. Variable may change. You may not eat as much. You know, you may not splurge on eating out, so your food costs may change depending on if you decide to cook or purchase more groceries instead of eating out. That's stuff that you start thinking about in that phase three of budgeting. In phase four, you start monitoring your current spending. You want to kind of take a look back at, where's my money going? How much am I saving? How much am I investing if I'm investing? You start mapping out where your money is going. In phase five, you compare your budget to what you have actually spent. So you're looking at what you thought you might have to spend, then you taking and saying, this is what I actually spent. And you're comparing and saying, oh wow, did I overextend myself in some areas? Or did I meet my goal? Or did I just I really didn't need that much budgeted for food that I thought, or clothes that I thought. That's what it gives you that ideal of. Phase six is where you review the financial progress and you change your budget as needed. Budget ain't set in stone. It's just based on what money you have, what expenses you have, and how it weighs against each other. So that's going to change. It just depends on your situation. Do we have any questions? You can also utilize the chat box if you have any questions. Okay, next we have, so goal setting. With goal setting, it comes with some guidelines. We're all gonna set goals, and especially when it comes to money, you definitely want to set goals. So first, you got to be realistic about the goals you set. If you're a student working part-time, it's not likely to be able to afford a new car every couple of years. When I think back to when I was high school and when I actually got my first car, which was a lemon, I mean, it didn't even run for maybe a week because I knew I couldn't afford a car note at the time I got the car. So I bought the car off a family member. Unfortunately, it was a car that was no good. So I knew realistically I couldn't just go out and afford a car note at that time. But during that time, I knew I needed to get around because I was working. And riding the bus wasn't the best thing for me not to be able to get to work on time, especially getting across town from high school to work, my part-time job. So that's why I had to look at ways to, how can I get me a piece of transportation that's reliable but affordable? So you gotta be realistic. Of course, we all would love to be able, when I get my first new car, I want an Audi or whatever fast car that you see out there that you just really, really want. As Christian said, a Lamborghini. She living that high life, y'all. Y'all pray for her. But you have to be realistic about what you can really afford. Yeah, you may have the support of your parents and your family to help you, but let's be realistic. That Nissan Sentra might be more in the ballpark than the Lamborghini. Let's be real. So when setting goals, you also want to be specific. A specific goal is like, if I know I need this car, then how can I save $1,000 for a down payment to buy a car? Because especially you want to come with a good down payment for a car to help lower your monthly note if you have to finance a car. So you gotta be specific about whatever goal it is you're trying to achieve. How can I make it happen? Like, if I can't go to my parents and say, "Oh, can you get that PS4 game?" And they're like, "Say your month." So you gotta start factoring with, if I get this much allowance a week or whatever, how long would it take me to save towards getting that game I want? That's how specific you gotta be when you wanna get the things, set the goals for the things you want. So that's what I mean by being specific. Next, you have that time frame. I want to pay off my credit card within the next 18 months. So you got to factor in the amount, or if you want to set a time frame to pay off a credit card, you have to think about how much do I owe overall. Break it down. If I want to pay it off, then you breaking down what you owe overall over the 18-month period. But you also got to factor in the fact that credit cards have interest rates that grow each month on a card. So those are different factors you have to consider in making up that time frame when you want to, for that example of wanting to pay off a credit card. And the next goal setting point is state the action to be taken. So, and it's stuff that you just, even if you're just jotting it down for yourself, you're starting to map out what you want to do. So when you state the action to be taken, like in this example, I want to start an automatic deposit saving account with monthly withdrawals from my checking account. So say you got a checking account, and you may be working part-time, and your check goes directly to your checking account on payday. You can set it up to where you can open up a savings account and say, maybe if I want $10 every time I get paid to go straight to savings, that way I won't touch it. I won't even see it. It's automatically being saved. And I'm automatically setting that goal, taking action to put money up every time I get paid. That's that example. Do we have any questions at this time? So what you'll see on the screen now is an example of a budget based on starting with, I have jobs on here, but it could be your allowance. You start thinking about what you actually got is your actual budget. So if I budget out, like for example, on this screen, if I want to budget to say that I may have by the end of this month from my allowance, if I get $20 a week, 4 weeks, I'm looking at $80, hopefully, for this month. That's what I'm budgeting in my income part for this month. I might have messed up and didn't actually get the full 80 this month. Maybe I didn't do my chores that I was supposed to do 1 week. So I only got actually 60 for this month. So the difference was knocked off by 20, right? Mm-hmm. So if I had expenses that I had to handle with whatever money, not that you would have an allowance, have any of these expenses, but if I wanted to see where my money was going and I didn't budget for it, I could still use the actual column. So say out of my $60 that I actually had this month, and I'm looking back at my budget and I say, I've decided to save $10. So, okay. Now I got 50. But I blew about $30 on food eating out. Man, what was I thinking? That's what a budget does for you, especially if you map out a budget each month and you start actually just throwing on your budget what you actually spending for each category, and then you take that look back the following month to see where your money went. It makes you think, oh, why did I spend that much on this? Now, especially when you start getting on up and start, being more to where you got to consider car insurance, car payment, credit cards, and rent. You start really thinking about that budget a little harder. because as a working adult, you really got to be on top of your game when it comes to managing your money. Or you just be money just be going through your hands, you won't be able to explain it. The next screen is also part of a budget screen, and it basically factors in your expenses. So expenses can range, especially as you get older. You may have to consider riding that bus to get to where you gotta go, the city bus, the matter for y'all in Memphis. Or you may have to consider the cost of maintenance for your transportation if you have a car, gas and oil. I mean, hey, you gotta factor that into your budget. What's your gas cost each week if you do have a car? You gotta get that oil change done every so many months or so many miles. So you gotta make sure the car is operating properly. In some states, you gotta figure out the toll costs, parking. If you work in a certain place, especially as you get older, you work in a certain area and you gotta pay for parking, you may have a parking cost that you have to pay. Repairs. Like I said, cars break down, tires wear out. Those are factors you gotta consider. They don't fix themselves. So you gotta be prepared to handle those as you get older and have those responsibilities. That's part of having money and knowing how to put your money to work. Of course, if you get sick, that's an expense. You got to handle that. You may have to handle the cost of paying for medications or doctor's visits. Those are unexpected, but they do happen. Then, of course, you want to have entertainment, but there are going to be things you want to do. You're going to want to go out. You want to have fun. I know we're in a pandemic time, but eventually we'll be able to get back to some type of normal where if I want to go out and hang out with my friends, I gotta be realistic. If I gotta say, y'all, I ain't gonna be able to, I ain't gonna be able to do it this week because you gotta stay on top of your budget. Ain't nobody else gonna stay on top of your budget for you. If you want to set goals and you want to have money for yourself to be able to do the things and have the life you want, it's gonna take some sacrifices. So basically, that's what this budget does. It gets you in the mindset of thinking, how can I make this money work for me? But also, where I need to step back or take a sacrifice, then I got to do what I got to do for me. Any questions? All right. So saving. It is so important that we save. But of course, you got to know where do you begin when it comes to saving? When saving, we all need a rainy day fund. It is so important to have a rainy day fund. You got to have money put aside for whatever reason, even at a young age. I think it's more important to have a savings at a young age because your basic needs are being handled for you. So if you have money that come in your hand, hold on to it, save it. I tell my daughters all the time, hold on to that money, save. You ain't got to blow your money on. I'm gonna buy the food. I'm gonna buy the snack. But just hold on. Do we have any questions at this time? 29 yards. Make sure you respond. Also, with having a savings, you having a round save it. Don't just blow through your money as soon as it come in your hand. Make sure you holding on to it. Also, I suggest lemon splurging your money on fast food and goods, snacks, treats. Hold that. That can wait. Yeah, I know certain things, especially even as a child, you had a little $5 in your pocket. And you're like, ooh, I really want this candy. But do you really need it? Not necessarily. It's just something you just really, really want. It's done caught your eye and you got this money burning a hole in your pocket. But hold on to it. Learn how to, if you got that $5, then just set aside $2 that you're going to spend. I'm just saying. It's easy to get in the habit now of saving than when you get older and be like, I wish I had did that when I was young. Just my point. Next one, start a small business. I have been amazed by the amount of youth recently that have started their own businesses. It inspires me as an adult to say, well, if a youth and young adult can put forth this effort at their age to be an entrepreneur and start their own, I can too. So even as a youth or young adult, there are things you can be doing like babysitting or lawn services. We got young adults now having their own lemonade businesses, and I mean selling it across grocery stores. There are things that y'all can learn now and put to use and put to work just by researching or asking the right people for help that can help y'all now be even farther than most of your adults, your parents, financially. So don't think you too young. There's no such thing. It's just all about your mindset and what you desire to do. Want to build that savings? You can also work part time. I started working at the age of 16. I think one of my first jobs, because I've always worked a lot, but one of my first jobs was actually working a summer program in Memphis. So take advantage of those programs that they offer, because it was something as simple as my first one was something was sitting in a class, getting paid to sit in a class. And then my second summer job was working for a summer camp. So there are ways to work part time, but don't let it affect your school. But if you got your grades on point and your parents allow you to start working that part time job, take full advantage of that. Because that's money you could be saving, putting up for whatever you might want or need in the future. Also, if you do have your grades that are on point, high marks in your class, take advantage of that. I learned that tutors can make $20 an hour by teaching in a certain subject. My old supervisor, her daughter was a tutor at her high school, helping her peers. So when you can get paid to do something that you're already good at, take advantage of that. We have any questions? Okay. I know our time is catching up on us, so I'm gonna run through these next few slides. But the next slide is kind of just briefly touching on credit, the advantages and disadvantages of having credit. So of course, the advantages, I'm able to buy needed items right now. I got credit and I've been afforded this credit card. I can go shopping today. I don't have to carry cash. I just keep this nice little pretty card in my wallet. It creates a record of purchases, so it's gonna send me a bill statement every month detailing everything I bought. And it's more convenient than writing checks. Checks are such a headache. Checks are so yesterday. Now don't get me wrong, I like getting a check, but I ain't quick to write a check. And then sometimes with a credit card, if you have more than one, I can consolidate into one payment. But you got to think about what's the disadvantages of having that credit. Okay, credit cards come with an interest rate. And sometimes that interest rate is so high, it's like it feels like you will never, ever, ever pay that credit card off. Like never, ever. It's going to feel like you're just taking forever, especially just paying the minimum. It's going to be so hard, especially if you're just spending on whatever. It's going to be like, oh, I can't never pay this credit card off. So you got to think about that. And then it may come with additional fees. Some credit cards come with an annual fee, and you may forget about that annual fee. And the annual fee may be $50, $60 or so a month. It just depends, or a year. And you be like, oh, I may be already at my limit, but this annual fee gonna hit. Oh, I gotta pay that too. Ridiculous. Then you want to start thinking about sometimes you may not have no money coming in, so financial difficulties may arise if one loses track of how much has been spent each month. So I forgot to pay my bill. So then it's then tacked on a late fee on top of what I already owe. And then if I'm over the limit, that comes with a fee too. Credit cards can come with a lot of fees if you're not careful. And then the fact that I got this credit card and I might be at the mall and we're like, well, heck, I ain't gotta have no cash. I may feel like I can just buy whenever I feel like. But in reality, I can't do that because that credit is gonna follow me throughout my life. And I want to have a good credit score. I don't want it to affect me trying to pursue certain jobs or opportunities because my credit is bad. So you want to be wise with credit. So it's your responsibility. Money is your responsibility. Credit is your responsibility. Taking loans, it's your responsibility as you get older. So only borrow what you can repay. And that's something I wish I had to learn even with when I went off to college. Don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for the 2 degrees I have. I have my master's degree. But I wish I was a bit wiser with obtaining those degrees. I only should have borrowed when it comes to my student loans what I needed just for school or just for my classes. Unfortunately, I was at a time where if you needed just some money just for yourself, they will let you borrow that at some schools as a part of your student loan. Definitely not wise. If I can't earn the money, then I don't need to be tapping on this loan that eventually I'm gonna have to pay back. And I don't want to spend a lifetime trying to pay off debt. So you got to be wise about the money you borrow and make sure that you have a plan for repaying it. When doing and filling out a credit card contract, don't just sign on the dotted line. Read clearly. Know those interest rates. Know how high the interest rate might be. Same goes with financing a car. You got to read through that contract to make sure, is this really going to work for me? Is this really right for me? So take the time to read and get understanding before you start getting yourself in any type of debt. Make sure you pay your debts on time and promptly. When you charging a credit card, it's very important to be able to pay it right back off. Don't just keep charging up that debt. Trust me, I tell you from experience, because if you just keep charging up that debt and not ever paying it off, it feel like you'll never get rid of that debt. Notify creditors you cannot meet payments. Life happens, so there are going to be times where you may not be able to make that payment. Then that's when you don't avoid those calls from the creditors. That's when you call them and make arrangements. Okay, can we set up a plan for me to pay off this bill? You'll be surprised the ones that are willing to work with you if you ask. Also be aware that your identity or your cards can be stolen. So whenever you notice chart, that's why you got to stay on top of what's in your account. If you have bank accounts, if you have credit cards, monitor the spending. Because there are people out here that will take what you have. So you got to report loss of stolen credit cards in a timely manner. Because if you don't report it, then the creditor or even your bank account is going to say, well, you bought that. You spent that. I ain't got no control over what happened to your money. That's how they're going to come at you. So that's why you got to stay on top of that. And never, 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 never give your card number over the phone unless you initiate the call. Unless you paying a bill online, then that's when you give out the necessary information to make that payment. Don't voluntarily give information out just because somebody asks for it. Any questions? All right. Well, in closing, I want you to remember a few things about financial literacy. Remember, student loans are real. Only borrow what you need. Always have a budget. Don't forget that credit matters. Remember that money doesn't save itself. Also remember to protect yourself, but also invest in yourself. And wealth isn't what you earn, but what you save. So does anybody want to share what they learned from this webinar, from this class today? You Feel free to unmute your lines and tell me what your takeaway from today is. Or you can enter it in the chat box.
Hi, Miss DeBerry. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I have a couple of quick questions since the students are not participating a whole lot.
Okay.
So I guess I want to ask the students, if you are in college right now and you have to take out a loan, what are some things that you can do on campus what jobs can you get on campus to alleviate those loans? So that you don't have to take a loan out, because you only have 10 years to pay your loans back.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that the twins were on here. Has anyone spoken to you about what you can do if you're not on full scholarship in terms of cutting down the amount of money that may be needed for a loan or out of pocket? Twins?
No, ma'am. Nobody has told us about that.
Okay, so if you're not on full scholarship, one thing that you can definitely do is become an RA. RAs get room and board for free. So if you get Pell Grants and you are RA, more than likely you end up getting a refund more so than you will have to take out a loan to finish paying for school. The only thing you will be responsible for would be for your tuition and your books. Everything else will be taken care of. And the job of an RA is very easy. Just make sure that the students are not smoking and drinking on campus, and you work at the desk for a couple of hours a week, and it's free for you. So that's one way that you guys can cut down. So Ms. White, if you guys are taking out loans or anything, I'm not sure, but that's one thing that you guys can think about. And it helps, and it looks very good in terms of leadership, because now you're a campus leader and you can put that on your resume, which is going to help you in your career, which will actually end up landing you more money once you get done. Okay. My next question is, how do you write a check? Do you guys know how to write a check? Do you have a checking account? Twins, Javion. Let me see who else is on the line. I don't mind calling y'all out. Mia, are you a student or an adult?
I'm a student.
Okay. Do you have a checking account?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a savings account?
I'm not all of that. I have to ask my mother.
Ma'am. Okay. So you're going to have to ask your mom about that. Let me ask you this question. When you do get a savings account, are you looking at the types of interest that they give you? Mentioned interest. Did you guys ask her what interest was and what are the types of interest that they have? She talked to you guys about making your money work for you. Come on, guys. Ms. DeBerry has done a phenomenal job. You guys have a conversation with us so we'll know where you guys are in your thinking and what we can do to help you guys in the future.
I also wanted to touch on those that are in college. Check out your schools to see if they offer work study programs. I know when I was in college and I did get the Pell Grants. I got the various grants offered by the state of Tennessee, but I also was able to qualify as for the work study program where you can not just be a RA, but also work in any capacity on the campus. That's when I actually started working in financial aid back in college. So I worked as an assistant for the financial aid department at Tennessee State University. So it not only put money in my pocket, it also builds skills that I was able to use in the future. So take full advantage of those programs where that'll help offset the cost for college. Um, Grants, scholarships. You can still qualify even if you're in school. You just have to seek. It takes research. It takes looking at what you're interested in. It takes doing your homework about that stuff. Also touching on how to write a check. For those that may not, you got to know how, like even talking to one of my daughters, when I opened up her account, because you can open up an account, a minor account at the age of 14 for a child, where they have their own bank account and their own savings. It depends on the bank, but you can't open up both. So when she turned 14 in August, that's exactly what I did with part of her birthday money. I opened up a checking and savings account in her name. So when her card came, because she has a checking account, so it came with a debit card. She didn't even realize that, yeah, this is your card. So even it may be asked to see the back of your card, make sure it's signed. So something as simple as making sure you can write your signature. That also applies with a check. A check is not valid without your signature on the front of that check. Also, filling out that check, you got to know at the top of it, which it already has your address information on your pre-printed checks in the top corner, but your pay to line needs to be clear. The amount that's written in the number box needs to be clear, and it must match the amount that's written under the pay to line, because a bank is gonna only, now if the pay to box, if the amount in that written in, the number amount written in does not match the written in amount, the bank is going to honor the written amount that's under that pay to line. I know this because I work in accounts receivable, and a lot of times checks are rejected because those amounts don't match, but the bank always honors. So if you done messed up and written in $1,000 when you meant to write in 100, be careful what you written in, because that's what the bank gonna honor. But a check is valid when you make sure it's signed by you on the front before you give that check out. When receiving a check, make sure you sign the back of that check to deposit, or it won't be valid. I see in the comment box, just read through some of the comments from today. It says, I've learned that you gotta be patient with your money and save up and be on top of what your money is no matter what. Yes. As Christian said, period. She used the word a lot. It says, I've also learned a lot of this from my financial class, but even so, it says you are a bit more specific, which I really do appreciate. It's a wealth of knowledge and information that we can go on about when it comes to this topic. This topic is so broad, but I think we kind of at least got your minds to go on today. Mm-hmm. And I'm always here if you have any questions.
I've learned a lot from this class too, considering that I also had a financial literacy class and you use my notes. Yeah, I learned more from this class than my actual financial class.
And I'm no expert by no means. Trust me, I'm still learning a lot about money today, y'all. And sometimes you learn more by life experience. Sometimes you learn in the mistakes you make. But I've learned that it's a wealth of knowledge out here if we seek it to help us make wiser decisions with money. A few more comments. I learned that I should spend less than I make and to keep track of what I would spend my money on. Yes, very important. Also, okay, when we was talking about the bank accounts, I said I don't have a savings account, but I do have a checking account. Take the time to get that savings account. I don't care if it's just $10 a month you're putting into an account. It's something that you're starting to put up, you're saving, that you're storing away that money for a rainy day or for when something might happen. And then when you're able to, you start putting more in it and put more in it. That's something even now. Sometimes I've had to tap into my savings for emergencies, but I was thankful to have it. So start setting that aside. You never know how it may come in handy. All right. So our class is winding down. I hope you all enjoyed this lesson on today. Please keep in mind that we have other classes coming up. I think on Monday we have interview skills with Melody Purnell. So please take time Monday 6 p.m. to join in for that class. And also you'll notice in the chat box, please complete this survey because we want to know how can we better help you in the future, or how helpful was this class for you. So please take the time to complete the survey. Do we have any other questions? We have like a minute left.
Anyone?
Well, I thank you all for the time that y'all took on this call today. Do we have any other comments or questions?
Hey, Danielle, thank you for the plug for Monday at 6. I'm looking forward to seeing each one of you for the interview skills class. And you did a wonderful job, Miss D. Berry. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. This recording, I'm saving this recording for today. So what I'll do is make sure that we have it as a resource for anybody that may want to review it later. I'm going to also put my email address in the chat box. If you have any questions or just want to ask me anything in general about this topic, please feel free to email me and I will be sure to share any information that I can to help you all. So thank you all for your time on today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Great job, Danielle. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Don't forget to do your survey, guys and girls. Don't forget to do your survey.
All right. Bye-bye.